Good day, everybody, and thank you for joining us. Today we will be discussing IPsmarx SIP Trunking Solution. We just want to say a quick thank you for allowing us to steal 60 minutes of your time. We know that you've got a busy schedule, so we want to make sure that we get through this in 60 minutes and that you come away with a great understanding of our SIP Trunking Solution. Now, just before we begin, we do have a time at the end of this session for questions and answers. If you do have any questions, please feel free to enter the questions into the question panel on your GoToWebinar panel on the right-hand side of your screen, and we will address them. If we can address them throughout the presentation, we'll be happy to do so. Otherwise, please bear with us. We're assuming we're going to get a lot of questions about this solution, and we will address them at the end of the presentation today. Again, we'll be about 60 minutes. 40 some odd will be listening to myself discussing some of the industry, a little bit about the industry, a little bit about the product, and how this SIP trunking solution may fit into your businesses. And then we will take some questions at the end. And we will have Andrea and William from IPsmarx on the line in order to get into some of the more procedural or operational questions that you may have about how to work with IPsmarx. So let's just go over a quick agenda. We're going to introduce IPsmarx to everybody on the line. We have a number of people on the line, so we want to make sure that you know who we are and what our vision is for our company and how we might fit into your business. We'll discuss a little bit about SIP trunking and the VoIP market, just so that we can get a clear understanding of how much information we need to convey about SIP trunking and about VoIP in particular throughout this presentation. We will then go through the industry, the SIP trunking industry, as we saw in the products that were out there before our team approached the development of our solution. We'll then go into the key differentiators, and we took what we learned and what we saw in the industry and applied those to our product in order to come up with a product that we believe will fit sort of IPsmarx's mantra of their products. We'll then we'll expand on the actual features of the IPsmarx solution. We'll get into how you can work and how your business can profit from utilizing and implementing these solutions. And then obviously we'll get into our questions and answers, where anything that wasn't built into the slides today can be addressed. So who is IPsmarx? IPsmarx is the global leader in prepaid and VoIP solutions. They support 1,000 VoIP service providers in over 75 different countries around the globe, and they have been doing so since 2001. Unfortunately, we couldn't fit all of the awards here in the bottom of the page, so we've just taken a snippet of 5 of them, but trust me, there are many, many more. They've been essentially working towards or working with startups in order to help them grow their own businesses and using VoIP in order to capture some market share. They've, since their inception in 2001, over the last 12 years, they've been able to acquire customers that run the gamut from very small companies and startups all the way through to enterprises that are selling their solutions in order to increase their revenues. They deliver the technology, the support, and the training needed for you to introduce new VoIP-related products to your customers or to your market base. They have really 2 sole purposes and drivers for their technology. One is to make their modules and their applications useful, and the other is to make sure that they are user-friendly. They really focus on making sure that the customer experience and integration of different systems is seamless, and they really want to make sure that they get the most out of those products and fill as many holes as you may be seeing in the market with existing products, they want to make sure that they fill those holes with what they bring to market. So today we're going to be discussing their SIP trunking solution, and I think you'll see how they came about creating this technology really does, really provides a useful product and then also makes sort of the implementation and management of that product incredibly user-friendly. So let's talk quickly about why SIP trunking. And first, we should probably discuss what SIP trunking is. There may be a number of people on the call that are new to VoIP. SIP is really just a protocol that allows voice to travel over the internet. Without it, calls could not be completed over IP networks. They would have nowhere to go, and if they were sent, they would have absolutely no meaning. So what does SIP trunking do? Well, it allows you to combine voice and data networks into one essential network that will allow you to simplify your systems and eliminate your customers' reliance on expensive PRI or analog systems. Using SIP trunks allows companies to unite remote branches. So 80% of companies in North America are currently employing and allowing customers to work from home. So either remote workers or allowing them to work from home. And SIP trunks are a great enabler for that kind of a distributed model. And they allow you to have employees work generally anywhere the IP network can reach, no matter how geographically dispersed they happen to be. So it really has a lot of benefits in the market right now. So here's a little bit, we've got 4 main points as to why your customers would want you to provide SIP trunking. Number 1, we discussed it, is the cost savings. So clearly they get to reduce the number of public service telephone network circuits. So especially for the SMBs who may have oversubscribed their networks because of the number of channels that they can purchase. SIP trunking gives them a great ability to reduce those overhead costs and really what they call right provision their networks and especially their voice networks. They also benefit in being able to reduce the amount and the cost of hardware associated with PSTN circuits, and they get to basically eliminate, potentially eliminate unused circuits. So they're saving a lot of money. It's also, SIP trunking is incredibly flexible for these companies. With real-time provisioning, they can add new channels as they go, whenever needed, as opposed to with a PSTN network circuit, they would have to be adding channels in lots of 23. So if they just need one, you can see how much of a savings in cost that would be, and also the ability to be flexible and manage sort of their inbound call volumes appropriately. Similarly, for mobility, calls can be sent anywhere the IP network can reach. So if there's a connection to the internet, you will be able to route a call to that person, no matter how remote he or she happens to be. With decreased complexity, means your overhead costs are low and the management of your network becomes much easier. You have fewer circuits at remote sites. We all have customers that are geographically dispersed or multi-site enterprise customers who really want to make sure that they're decreasing the amount of circuits at each of those locations. Your local, your long distance, and your intra-WAN calls will all go over essentially the same link. And because of that, once you've unified your communications over one network, you reduce the number of carriers involved in supplying your telecommunications. So really it's one neck to choke, one invoice that comes in, and you've decreased the amount of paperwork that is specifically related to your telecommunications spend. Also for business continuity, the ease with which you can redirect your phone calls it's incredible. So a line goes down or the internet goes down in one location, you can easily redirect those calls, all just set up through rules, and your business will continue to receive inbound calls. Now that's for your customers. So let's talk a little bit about why you as service providers would want to get into SIP trunking. So you also, with the benefits of SIP trunking, will be able to reduce your operating costs. So you will be able to reduce the amount and the cost of hardware. You will also, similarly with your customers, you will also be able to provision your own backbone so that you don't have unused space in the background that you are carrying costs in order to provide. With SIP trunking, and especially with this solution, you'll be able to simplify your vendor management. You will have providers, services and products, customers, all basically under one roof, and you will be able to manage what's incoming and outgoing for each of those. And obviously the revenue potential. If you are selling PSTN or POTS lines, you know that business is decreasing and being replaced by VoIP. If you sell voice right now, by adding SIP trunking, you have the ability to increase your per customer revenue. And if you don't sell voice right now and you sell network data, you have the ability now to increase your share of the customer wallet. And we'll explain a little bit more about that as we go through this presentation. Now that's all fine and dandy, but being able to do all that with a dying market may not work very well for you, or may not sit very well for you. So we wanted to include some notes about the actual market. So the global VoIP market in 2012 rose 9% to $63 billion. The forecast is that for enterprise VoIP and residential IP phone services, that's going to be $83 billion by 2017. Cloud-based communication services up 17% from 2011. And most importantly for this presentation, SIP trunks jumped 83% in 2012 over 2011. So all of these multi-site businesses who have calls back and forth are going to be choosing SIP trunking over the next little while as a way to decrease their WAN communications costs. And we found this graphic, so we thought we would throw it in it. It really speaks for itself. SIP trunking is the fastest growing business VoIP segment according to Infonetics research. Great, so we've determined SIP trunking is somewhere we want to go. Let's discuss a little bit about why we would like IPsmarx to take us there. So here's a look at IPsmarx's VoIP solution, their voice solution. They have a soft switch platform. On top of that sits applications called SIP trunking, multi-tenant IP-PBX, VoIP termination. Some of the people on this call may have IP-PBX or VoIP termination and are looking to add SIP trunking. Some people on this call may be looking to start their own voice solutions provisioning company. And this is essentially the solution that's going to allow them to do it. So in these three applications, you will have eStore, which we'll explain in a little bit. You have automated billing. You have product packaging. We already mentioned a bit about the vendor management. We'll get into that again. And then also, if you choose the other two modules or applications, you'll get all the call features of multi-tenant IP-PBX. And for VoIP termination, you will also get least cost routing. So this is essentially your business, your voice business, all powered by IPsmarx. So when IPsmarx decided to expand their product offering to include SIP trunking, they took a quick look at what was going on in the market and really dove deep into the providers of SIP trunking today to see where they might be able to make some improvements on current offerings. So right now, for DID providers, service providers, you may have many DID providers, many channels, many DIDs out there. You might have a bunch of customers that are mixing and matching those. And right now, it is incredibly difficult to manage your vendor relationships, so purchasing and reselling DIDs, especially if you have a number of different DID providers. So they wanted to take this solution and find some way where they could centralize all of that and make sure that what you're offering to your customers is in fact in line with what you are purchasing from your vendors. They also saw that there was a lack of integrated billing out there. So billing is complex. It requires a bunch of hardware hacks right now for soft switches, or just in applications alone. So adding SIP trunking to this, to your solution because of the billing component may be an obstacle. So they went and tackled that piece as well. They then looked at all of the other customizations for soft switches in order to enable SIP trunking and realized that the amount of work required made getting into this market, as lucrative as it may be, almost cost prohibitive, and it delayed sort of your return on investment. Your payback was delayed so far because you had to spend so much up front in order to make sure that you had the solution that you needed. Similarly, once you've customized hardware and operating systems in order to do what you need it to do, your ability then to manage that becomes a risk, as there are very few people who are able to go in and make changes to the system. If you have turnover in staff, you may lose that resource, and you may be really stuck from a business perspective. Similarly, once you've got integrated billing and you have some sort of vendor management, you can now essentially calculate the ROI on your products. So for right now, with many DID providers and many channels, vendor management and your ability to allocate or at least quantify your revenue by product becomes incredibly difficult. So IPsmarx wanted to make sure that their customers who are choosing this SIP trunking solution were the most educated, the leanest, the smartest, and the most profitable organizations out there, so that they could really go and tackle the market with products that were making them money. Also, they found that the hardware limitations out there were really also could be very cost prohibitive or would not enable the kind of scale that their customers would be looking for. So either hardware was limited to 100 concurrent calls, or it was so expensive that getting into the market just wasn't going to be a possibility. So let's take a quick look at what it looks like. So let's say that you are the service provider for Bob's Auto Parts in Buffalo, New York. Bob has 3 locations. He's got one in Hamilton, Ontario, which is just across the lake in Canada from Buffalo. And he's got another location about 200 to 250 kilometers away in Rochester, New York. And he wants to make sure that these, all these locations have enough lines for inbound calls and that they could create or actually call between locations. So you're managing DID providers. Up at the top here, you've got DID provider 1, from whom you're purchasing 1,000 DIDs. DIDs are red, channels are blue, with 25,000 channels. And this DID provider really focuses on Europe, the United Kingdom, and the United States. You've got DID provider 2, who focuses on South and Central America, and you have some DIDs with them and some channels. And you have DID provider number 3, same deal, only they focus almost exclusively on North America. So what happens is Bob's Auto Parts, who he has 2 DID providers supplying his DIDs from you, you've resold them, 9 DID numbers and 35 channels. Scalability then becomes an issue for him. If Bob orders another DID, how do you supply it? From whom? From which of your DID providers will you go in order to get it? How long does it take? How long does it install, or how long does it take to install or to port these DIDs? Have the rates changed from when Bob last purchased lines from you? And then ultimately, how do you ensure that calls from to his Rochester location, that Bob isn't using up all of those channels and keeping Joe's Bananas over here in Seattle, Washington without the ability to receive phone calls. So the IPsmarx soft switch platform, and especially the SIP trunking solution, allows you to take care of this management. So on the right here we have vendor management. You have the ability to make and create products and packages. You have the ability to sell them through the e-store. And then you have the full, you close the loop there with your ability to bill your customers directly. So all of these providers are managed through the system, and then all of your customers as well, all of the invoices, et cetera. So it's really a more or less hands-free operation and allows everybody to, or allows your customers to go in and manage themselves, and allows you to create the right packages and the right products for your customers. So what they built into their system was this vendor inventory management. So you manage channels and DIDs from any number of providers, and you can offer them to any number of clients without having to manage separate interfaces. So if you have to go into a back end for DID provider 1 or DID provider 2, you don't have to know those separate interfaces. It's one interface that allows you to manage all of your DID and channel inventory. Automated billing is a part of the platform, so you can pick the frequency and the delivery method through which you bill your customers. At the same time, they can pay you any way you want them to pay. Currently, it's from PayPal to customer accounts, credit cards, etc. You can allow them to choose. I mean, you can customize it so that you limit to specific payment forms that you and your company is comfortable receiving. But your customers then have a better ability to pick what is comfortable for them. We then have reporting, which allows you to report on your multiple DID providers, all the products that you are currently offering, and your clients, so that you can slice and dice this anyway in order to figure out which of your products make you the most money, arm your sales teams with that knowledge, and then they can go and sell your most competitive or your most profitable products to their customers. They also wanted to make sure that the platform itself was scalable. So they have tested multiple hardware choices, that are designed exclusively for either startups, small and medium businesses, and large service providers. And they have the ability to add on additional modules for business growth. So if you buy the SIP trunking solution today and want to buy the IP-PBX solution tomorrow, or the VoIP termination solution tomorrow, you can do all of that within the IPsmarx soft switch platform easily, incredibly easily actually. And then back to our point earlier where we mentioned that anything that comes out of IPsmarx has to be useful and user-friendly. The whole system was built using Windows 2008 on that platform. So your employees who are going to be running the system are really familiar with how Windows operates. They wanted to make sure that they leveraged that common knowledge, the ubiquity of Windows 2008, in the creation of these platforms. So there's not a lot of learning curve that has to go into adopting and implementing their services. So let's talk a little bit about each of these different features. We'll start with the vendor management. So this is the screen for vendor management. This allows you to see all of the DID numbers, all of the statuses of them, to whom they've been allocated, the assignment, where they are, and who provided those. You can add in all of the contact information from your DID providers. You can add in the prices, costs, all of the rate types, and this inventory is available real-time. So you can manage and provide information on your inventory 24 hours a day. Now let's talk about how this system will allow you to package products. So the beauty of this system is once you have all of your DIDs and channels and all of your providers into one central database is you can now create products by mixing and matching DID providers and channels. You can provision customers for the necessary capacity. You can actually limit them to specific number of concurrent calls so that if they start to overload the system, your other customers, remember Joe's Bananas, so that Joe's Bananas isn't affected by what is going on at Bob's Auto Parts, for example. You can make these packages that charge by the minute, by the month, by the channel, or by the call, so that your customer can choose however they want to be billed. And you can create premium add-ons for other packages. So if a customer buys a specific package and wants to add on little pieces, they can then go and do that in order to make their business run the way they need to, if it's seasonal, etc. So and this is how it works. This is where you can actually build these packages. You name them, you give them a price, you figure out, you can write in a quick description on what they are. You can upload your tax profiles and tax rates onto this. You can add account maintenance fees. And then essentially, once you've got the package information defined, then you can actually package these out so that they're by group, by number of DIDs, number of channels, and then you can create, one package can be sold 5 or 6 different ways depending on what your customers need. And you can really create almost an unlimited number of options for your customers through this packaging engine. Now, back to our point where we're not sure how familiar people are with VoIP systems. The biggest obstacle to VoIP, and IPsmarx was there right at the very onset of voice over IP services, was what happens, the old adage, what happens when my internet goes down. The beauty of these SIP trunking solutions is that this one will be able to allow you to fail over from a primary IP to a secondary IP, and if both of those locations are unable to receive calls, you can forward them to a PSTN line if necessary. Similarly, they built what they call replication for multiple servers where the failover is within 1 minute. So if the server itself has an issue, they didn't want to create a single point of failure in your network, so they have the option to have a high availability or replication server sit idle with failover of less than 1 minute. So what does this mean for Bob? Well, a call comes into Bob's Auto Parts in Buffalo, New York. If that location is down for any reason, the call can be rerouted to Rochester. If that's also down, then Bob's cell phone could ring. And same with Hamilton to Rochester as well. Despite the fact that it's between countries, it doesn't matter anymore because it's all over the IP network. You can have a call that is being dialed to Hamilton actually end up at Bob's cell phone in Buffalo or at the location in Rochester. So for disaster recovery, your customers will appreciate the functionality of SIP and the failover functionality of the IPsmarx SIP trunking solution. So let's talk a little bit about the e-store and e-commerce. This is actually one of the biggest selling features for this solution, in that you can have an entire backend that manages all of the billing related to SIP trunking for your customers. And you can add in line items. So if you wanted to use this solution as your central billing platform, you actually can. They also have an API that will allow you to tie it into other billing systems. That's something that we will maybe get to at the question and answer section of this presentation. But there's virtually unlimited functionality with the e-store and e-commerce. You can customize your payment options. You can customize billing. I'll show you. You get a microsite as part of the implementation process you will have this microsite, which is completely customizable. It is just tied to the back end where you can offer your solution. So you can actually take this site and tie it to your own site, make it look just like your own site, and all of the functionality in the back end, even if you're just using one page on this or one submenu on this website, you can then, all of the SIP services that you created when you were doing your packaging, all of those are already loaded up here, and you'll see they come in here. There's North America DID numbers, and there's a product, and you can sign up right now in order to get your customers can sign up right now in order to get that product. Now with registrations, your customers can go in and register, fill out whatever you want them to do, fill out a number of custom fields if there are specific custom fields that you and your organization want to make sure you capture at the time of customer acquisition. The system is fully customizable in order to support those custom fields. So this is really great whether you are starting your business, you have a website now, or whether you have an existing website and you just want to add on this piece. You don't have to go and do a lot of front-end coding. That's already done for you. They've already taken the time in order to set this up, tie it to their system, and now everything is seamless. So we talked a little bit about real-time reporting, and it's sort of a must-have in the SIP trunking space. You need to be able to monitor your calls in real time. You need to be able to manage accounts. So this solution allows you to set suspension rules. So if a customer hasn't paid you in X amount of time, you can actually send them a notice that their account will be suspended if they don't pay. That you can also just suspend accounts based on specific rules that you state. You're going to want your CDR report, and you're going to want it to include your average success ratio and average call duration. So that is all in this. But the bottom here, the per product profit analysis, is one of the most compelling features of this platform, because you are able to now input all of the costs associated with the DIDs that you are buying and reselling. You can now figure out which ones are making you the most amount of money. So you export that information, slice it and dice it in order to come up with archetypes of customers or specific products that are making you, specific geographies that are making you the most amount of money. Send that information to your sales team, and now your sales team is equipped to start to churn out sales that make you incredibly profitable incredibly quickly. And because the products are defined in such a way, they know exactly what they're selling, and they can add on or detract easily. So you really get, not only is your support team given all of the information here in order to make sure that your customers are happy, that their calls are being completed, but then you can also use this information as a business intelligence tool in order to really drive your sales focus over the next however long. So that is the SIP trunking module. Comes with the e-store, with the ability to provide billing, with the ability to create packages, and the ability to manage your vendors, all in one application that's all based on Windows 2008, so it's easy to use. I mean, even I can do it, and incredibly easy to implement. So let's discuss, we've got 3 use cases, and hopefully everybody on the call falls into one of these categories. If not, please contact us and we can help you develop a business around SIP trunking or around voice if that's necessary. But we'll just go through some quick use cases, and we'll start with what was essentially IPsmarx bread and butter when they began to get into this field is the startups. Because we've dealt with startups so frequently, we now have what we've called our business launch program. So if you wanted to leverage the IPsmarx soft switch to eke out your stronghold in the VoIP market and make sure that you can continue to increase revenue, we've got the program that will help you do it. We will develop your system and make sure that it is in line with what your business needs. We will help you find colo hosting vendors. We know we can help you find all of the DID suppliers that you are looking for. And most importantly, because we have 75 countries representing IPsmarx, and because we have 1,000 customers reselling our products, we know how they got into the market. We understand how they did it, what the steps that were taken, how they marketed their products, to whom they marketed their products, and I guess most importantly, where they had their most amount of challenges. So we've created now in our business launch program is sort of a go-to-market process that starts at nothing and ends at success, and we can help startups leverage our knowledge and the experiences of our 1,000 service providers across the globe in order to make sure that they are successful, almost guaranteed successful, and successful earlier than if they were up trying to do it on their own. We also have a lot of IP-PBX providers, and they are essentially looking for new ways to add revenue to for their business and new products to their customers. So the global PBX market revenue dropped 4% in 2012. People just, key systems, etc. In the EMEA region, for example, it dropped 10% alone. So globally, PBXs are on the decline. Unified communications on the incline, 8% growth, and you saw what was going on with SIP trunking and VoIP over the next few years. These are ways that you can add recurring revenue to your existing customers. So you get, because you're adding recurring revenue, you get deeper customer relationships. You can upsell and cross-sell on all of the myriad services that you offer today. You now have one more hook into your customers in order to be able to continue that relationship and continually add value to them and extract value in the form of revenue for your customer, for your company. And the more recurring revenue you see, the faster your business valuation goes up. So everybody's seeing it right now. Even Microsoft is offering their Office suite as a recurring revenue model. So recurring revenue seems to be the way everybody's going, and if you want increased business valuation, that's a surefire way of doing it, is by increasing your recurring revenue customer base. So on the line today, we have a lot of service providers who currently have, they're either supplying internet or they're supplying data networks. So we wanted to just give you an idea of what this means as well. So when you have Bob's Auto Parts, let's imagine that Bob is buying his internet and data from you. You're the blue company, and he's going to the local phone company in order to buy his PSTN service, who is, in this case, red. Bob has now two different suppliers. He's managing these two relationships. What you can do now by going voice over IP is actually own the entire communications budget. So get Bob to get rid of the PSTN lines or PRIs that he may have and put his voice service over your own network, your voice-enabled network, so that you can now begin to upsell him on voice-related services, features, IP-PBX, whatever it happens to be, you now have the ability to go in and say, Bob, we can save you some money, and we can make some money at the same time. Also, once your network is carrying Bob's real-time traffic, mission-critical traffic, you get the ability now to add in SLAs. You can sell them bigger links and a variety of other different features that you may offer to increase Bob's spend with your company. So you get deeper customer relationships. You can upsell and cross-sell. The stickiness, though, of Bob being your customer is greatly increased. You get greater profit per customer. And again, as we mentioned earlier, it's the simplification of the customer experience that says, okay, now Bob has one person to call with regards to his entire communications plan. So he's got his products, you're offering everything to him, he's got one phone number to call, and you can troubleshoot and solve all of his problems without any finger pointing between the PSTN or phone company and your network. So we'd like to take this opportunity right now. We've got a queue of questions, and we wanted to see if we could get those answered. Again, if you have questions, please enter it into the questions box, and we will do our best in order to answer those. Obviously, there are a bunch of questions related to getting this presentation and getting a copy of this presentation. There's no question everybody will be sent a link after for this presentation, and we'll make sure that if you have any questions after that, that we will be able to address them. But we have, let me just get our experts on the line here. We're just going to unmute them. So on the line we have Andrea Lopez from IPsmarx, and we have William as well, Majidi from our technical team, and they will be able to answer your questions. So we'll start right off the bat. Nick asked, Andrea, I guess you could answer this one. How long will it take to set up the system?
Oh, hi everyone. Thank you for attending today. Thank you, Cam. Nick, the answer to your question, actually, a huge benefit of IPsmarx system is how quickly you can have it implemented. Basically, your system, your IPsmarx system can be set up in as little as 10 business days. Once the system is installed, we will provide you with training sessions so you are well prepared to take your system to production.
Great. Thank you. Next question, William, can you answer for Ennis our support? We have, I guess, he wants to know if we offer 24/7 support.
Oh yeah. Hello everyone. My name is William, and thank you for joining us today. Well, yes, as a matter of fact, in order to support our customers, because we understand the nature of this business is 24/7, we do offer a support package that covers 24/7 for emergencies, and we are pleased to announce that our in-house technical support team in North America is responsible for that 24/7 support.
Great. William, can you stay on the line? Sal has asked, how does redundancy work? Can you explain that? I know we touched on it briefly, but can you go a little further into that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, the way that redundancy works is pretty much like what is well respected or well practiced in IT industry with 2 servers, and these 2 servers will have pretty much the same kind of setting from hardware perspective. We copy your application and we install the same solution. One of them is a standby, which we call it a slave. The other one is master, and it's the one that is live. The replication interval between these 2 servers is less than a minute. So every, let's say, 50 seconds, the data will be synced between these 2 servers. And in case of failure on master, the slave server or the the standby server will announce itself as master and will take over. And calls will be routed to this new server, and then I think IT maintenance team can start working on the server that went down while this one is handling the calls and traffic. And in most cases, the whole transaction is transparent to users. They won't even realize that primary went down and secondary came up.
Great. Can you answer one more follow-up question from Michael on that? Is the fail back? So once the internet outage gets resolved, can you talk about how the system goes back to its configuration?
Yes. Because these two servers are technically identical, the way that we design it, there is no need to go back to your originally called master server. Let's say these two servers are absolutely redundant, and they're actually completely identical. So once the traffic is moved to the second server, there's no need to roll over back to the primary. But because a lot of our customers, they prefer geographically, let's say, located servers. There are servers that they are located in different places, one, let's say, in the US and one in the UK, then yes, they may prefer to always handle traffic from their US server. In that case, they can just, there is a feature there in our application that you can say switch to server, and then the system automatically will redirect the traffic to the one that it was originally master. Let's say that repair is done and now master is available. You can easily switch back to your primary server.
Great. Thank you. Andrea, I have another question. How modular is the system? Could I expand my business models using the same platform? So I think that's a bit about the other products that
we also have. Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Cam. Well, one of the many advantages of using IPsmarx platform is that you can actually expand your business just by simply adding modules that will allow you to offer new services to generate new revenue streams. Giving you an example, it doesn't mean that because you're just using SIP Trunking Solution, that's everything that your system will do. Tomorrow or at the same time, you can add to your system other solutions such as wholesale for reselling termination connecting minutes, or multi-tenant IP-PBX, or so on. You can actually visit our website to get to know more about the different solutions that we offer.
Great. One more question came in. Is there an ability to service international clients using this solution?
Yes, international clients, yes, absolutely. You can definitely implement the system to offer services to anybody that needs SIP trunks from you. One advantage of having an IP system, voice over IP system, is that you can definitely have your business deploy in your local area right now, domestic US, North America, or international.
Great. I have another question here, and either William or Andrea, if you could answer it. It's over my head. I have 20 trunks from my provider. I am reselling to other companies. I have customer 1 who bought DIDs and 30 trunks, and customer 2 bought 50 trunks. How will it work since I only have 20 from my provider?
Okay. Well, it's easy. The fact that we have a distributed system, I mean, the whole idea behind the SIP Trunking solution was to centralize all your trunks, and then basically from that point you can assign it to multiple different customers. If you have limited capacity from your incoming trunks, without having IPsmarx SIP Trunking, basically that's the major challenge. It's not easy to manage that, but with IPsmarx, we can basically define limits and channels for each trunk that you provide to your customers. And at the time that they reach, let's say, 80% of that capacity that you have designed for them, they can We can notify them. There is a report that you can see number of channels that are used. You can make this, let's say, packages in a way that customers themselves, they can actually add channels. Let's say I start a package with 5 concurrent calls or 5 channels, and then after a few weeks I realize that, oh, I may need 5 more. So you can just go ahead online and add it. And then automatically, if your package is actually not a locked package or a closed package, it will be added to your ongoing package. And then, as you've mentioned before in the same presentation, invoicing and packaging and billing is already integrated for the same process.
Okay. So somebody had an addendum to the 24/7 support. Wanted to know what the staffing numbers are like if their normal operating hours are outside of our normal operating hours. Can you go into that?
Yes.
How, if the team at night is as good as the team during the day?
Well, it's actually the same team. Well, we provide the same level of training for all our team members, and there's first level, second level, third level support, and you basically get the same quality 24/7. It doesn't matter if, I mean, the level of service that you get at 2 a.m. is the same level of service that you get at 2 p.m. It's pretty much identical, given the fact that same level of training is provided, and the hierarchical structure for support from the first level to second level or to third level is designed in a way that complex problems get resolved by second or third level, and if it's something usually related to training, our training team or first level support team get involved, and then they can resolve it.
Right. Great. Okay. I guess the main point there is if IPsmarx has been in business for 12 years providing VoIP solutions around the world, with their support process, they've mitigated that risk or at least addressed that issue. Another question we got is, how many concurrent calls can a typical Windows 2008 server handle?
Okay. In terms of number of concurrent calls, your operating system or Windows 2008 64-bit really does not define any limitation for number of concurrent calls. Theoretically, you can have, let's say, up to 5,000 concurrent calls on a Windows 2008. The limitation usually comes from the hardware side, and given our recommendation list, we have different recommendations for different type of capacity. Like, let's say if you have 100 calls, we suggest you to go with, let's say, 8 GB of memory and a special type of CPU. But if your traffic is much higher, let's say you have 500 or 1,000 concurrent calls, that deserves a different hardware set. So the profiling of capacity really lies under what kind of hardware solution you want to choose. Operating system it plays an important role, but the key player here is the hardware that you choose.
Great. And can I host the system in the UK, or do you need me to use your approved hosting companies?
No, it can be anywhere. To answer that question, that's a very common question, especially because of replication. We also suggest our customers to locate their servers wherever they're more comfortable. It can be UK, it can be in the US or anywhere else, as long as you have reasonably, let's say, enough bandwidth for your traffic. This is IP-based communication, of course. Location really does not matter. That IP can be from anywhere in the world. Even we have had customers that they have hosted their servers in different countries in Europe and Africa. As long as your internet service is reliable, there is absolutely no problem with hosting it anywhere that you like.
Great. This is a good question. Does IPsmarx support residential VoIP? So customers dial into the system through an inbound DID and dial their desired international calls.
Yes, absolutely. We do support residential solution as well. Customers, in this case, the end user will be a SIP client. They can receive incoming calls through one DID or as many as they buy from you. And they will also be able to make outgoing calls or even calls between each other if they are in the network. The residential solution will come with, the great features that the end user needs, such as follow me, voicemail, call forward, call transfer, and so on.
Great.
Call forwarding,
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Good. Okay. William, one last question. It's 3 o'clock, so I just want to get through as many questions as we can. If we have failed to answer your questions, please just let us know, and we will get back to you with those. We have a list of the questions, so we will be reaching out to those people that didn't get their questions answered. The next question for David is, how compatible is IPsmarx with DID providers?
Okay. Well, in terms of compatibility, which is fairly important when it comes to a voice over IP solution, for the past 12 years, these different DID providers, even gateway-based DID providers, we've been dealing with a lot of them, and basically the whole idea is there are some set of standards which we call them RFCs, and as long as DID providers or any kind of provider, let's say termination providers, they are compatible or compliant with those set of standards, which are very well respected in voice over IP industry and telecommunication industry, there is no reason that we shouldn't be compatible with them. And to put it another way, I want to say that anyone who is compatible with RFC standards, we can certainly interact with them without any problem. However, with big players in the market like companies such as Level 3 or big DID providers in the United States and across the globe, we have established different connections, and we've always tested our platform. And luckily, because we are compatible with RFC standards, and we've never seen any issue. So compatibility is not an issue, because you're, for those of you guys who are more technical, I name RFC 3261. That's the standard set for SIP interaction, and we're compliant to that. So any other DID provider would respect that the standard will work with us without any problem.
Great. Thank you. That's all the time that we have right now. We promised 60 minutes. We're right, I believe, at 60 minutes. So thank you very, very much for giving us your time today. If you want any more information, you can visit IPsmarx on the web, IPsmarx with an X.com, or you can send an email to either Ludi at IPsmarx.com or Andrea, who you spoke to today or you heard from today, at IPsmarx.com. Again, it's IPsmarx.com, and we would be happy to do a demonstration of the solution for you, and also to help you figure out how this could work for your organization and how much business you could generally generate using our SIP trunking solution. So thank you again. Thanks very much for taking the time out of your day, and we look forward to hearing from you.